Hey, we're going to have a great show today. Open the phones. Miss Jan will take your call at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. I'm going to talk about octane and gasoline because that's something that you need to know, the difference between, well, can you use or should you ever use high octane in your low octane engine, for one. Number two, last week I mentioned the fact that in Europe they had 100 octane, whereas in the States, we do not. And of course, I have since done some studies, and that's not quite true. Of course, it is for Germany, but for instance, in Italy, that is not the case at all. So a little more about that. You'll want to stay tuned because it has to do with what's available when you go overseas, and it also has to do with what's available here in the States. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by General Tire and its innovative replacement tire monitor technology. I love it, providing you with a warning when the tire is worn and needs to be replaced. Drive to GeneralTire.com for all the details to get a look at this particular tread design. Fantastic. This segment of Bobby Likis is also brought to you in part by Power Frame Grid Technology. Batteries may outside that really matters. Power Frame Grid Technology is tested to be more durable and provides superior cranking power. Go to powerframe.com for details. Stay tuned for your calls. When it comes to your car battery, you expect it to work. Turn the key and go. Thanks to Power Frame Grid Technology, you can trust your battery to be there start after start. Batteries with Power Frame Grid Technology are tested to provide superior cranking power with up to 70% better electrical flow than other grid designs. Look for Power Frame on the outside for true strength on the inside. Visit Advance Auto Parts or CarQuest for a battery with Power Frame Grid Technology, or to learn more, go to powerframe.com. That's powerframe.com. Are you looking for a tire that offers the perfect synergy of comfort, durability, and performance for your light truck or SUV? The Grabber HTS 60 features StabiliTread with a fatter footprint, optimized tread pattern stiffness, and improved tread compound for up to 25% more tread life than the original Grabber HTS. And General Tire's Duragen technology makes tires stronger and more resistant to cuts and chips. The Grabber HTS 60 also offers a 45-day trial. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. Time to go to our Car Clinic inbox. Jim in Indianapolis writes, Bobby, I have a 2010 Ford Explorer, and it's taking more than 10 minutes for the engine to warm up, whereas it used to take 6. I hear you guys talking about Stant thermostats. What makes them so special? Thanks, Jim. You probably heard me talking about the Superstat in particular. Superstat is a premium-grade thermostat that performs better and lasts longer. The Superstat features heavy-duty springs that help return it to a closed position to prevent cold running. A larger heat motor helps control engine temperature, while a heavier gauge steel housing gives it a high-end feel. Just hold one yourself and you'll feel the difference. The Superstat is American-made and comes with a limited lifetime warranty. You definitely don't want to compromise when replacing your Explorer's engine thermostat. The Superstat helps maintain proper air-to-fuel ratio, which maximizes fuel economy, keeps tailpipe emissions in check, and provides optimal performance. Learn more about the Superstat at your local auto parts store or at stant.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So here's the deal. I'm going to share with you information about, well, gas prices and also octane. And what is octane? But first, I'm going to take a call from New York with a Shahid who's called in first. And I'll remind you that in the earlier first minutes of the broadcast, and there are 3 segments in each hour of today's broadcast, and every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you from the center of the automotive universe. Where is the center of the automotive universe? Well, there are actually 3 centers. Number one, yours truly, Bobby Likis Car Clinic, is located on the Gulf Coast of Florida in Pensacola, Florida, and our studio is located inside a 15,000 square foot automotive service facility where we have for the past 46 years, not from this studio, but from this facility, serviced, repaired, maintained, and pre-repaired or prevented repairs to our customers' cars right here in Pensacola, Florida. So that started in 1971. No, my father didn't find or wasn't the founder of this company. It was I. So yeah, I have a few years, which means that I do have some wisdom. And it also means that I've learned that I don't know everything that I thought I knew as well. You probably know that feeling. But the bottom line, started in 1971 and grew the company, and we have the most fantastic crew. We specialize in every car that rolls, but specifically a lot of Lexus automobiles, a lot of Audi automobiles that just more and more every day, as well as GM, Ford, Chrysler, you name the lot. What that does for me, and what it does for you, which is what you really care about, is it gives me the opportunity to learn every day. And I won't get into the facts, but if you drive a Ford V6 that has an oil leak on a rear main like an Explorer, trust me, that is no trivial pursuit to replace that gasket. And if you've ever replaced one, technicians tuned in, I'd like to hear how you do it. And I'd also like to know if you know about the shims that shim the oil pan and the transmission bell housing. Very interesting design, making it all but impossible to properly do this job after the car is built. Very interesting. Won't go there unless you decide you'd like to have more information. But in the meantime, I'll talk about Octane. I'll take your calls at 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. We'll go to New York, and then we'll come back and we'll start with Octane, and I'll talk about the 100 Octane that I spoke of last year with my good friend Carlo Canapa. Gotta love that guy. Was actually born in Naples. He and I have been to Naples, and I actually broadcast a program live, a Car Clinic program live from Naples. That was a very interesting day. Went off without a hitch. Well, except I couldn't quite understand the president of the Scudero, the Italian Scudero Corvette Club, who was our host. A very interesting day it was. Shahid, New York, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding, sir.
Thank you. I question this morning.
Sure.
I have a 99 Honda Accord. It's a manual transmission, 4-cylinder. Does have high mileage on it. Has a few issues, but the one that I'm chasing today is the stalling issue. When I come to a stop of any sort, and the first thing is that it's not idling. So, in other words, once I get the vehicle started, pretty much, because it's a manual, I'm able to,
you can
it to get it going.
So you can play with the throttle to get it going, but if you let off the throttle and pull up to a traffic light, it goes dead. Does it go dead all the time, or does it ever idle properly?
All the time.
Okay, so so Shahid, not to cut you off, but just a quick question so I can put my mind in the right direction.
Yes.
Going down the road 40 miles an hour, it doesn't cut off, or does it shut down?
No, it doesn't.
Only when you let off the accelerator and kick it in neutral or push the clutch in, so that the road wheels don't drive the engine. So anytime, so it just doesn't idle. So the problem is not necessarily in the vernacular. Your car cuts off because it doesn't shut down. It just will not idle, or it's idling so low that it dies. Is that correct?
Correct. That is correct.
All right. Well, that's different. And it's different because your engine has an IAC, and not to get into a bunch of acronyms, except that's an idle air controller. So
Yes.
your engine has a little box that is actually the idle air controller is like a tracheotomy. It's just another passageway for air to enter the engine. And if your mouth is closed, of course, a lot of people would like to close my mouth. I mean, seriously, if your mouth is closed, you can't talk, you can't breathe. If your nose is pinched and your mouth is closed, unless you have a trach. Well,
Right.
that's the way automobile engines are controlled and idle speed. And I like to consider that, rather than the tracheotomy, I like to consider that or present that as a stage door. Let's say you and I operate a big theater, and we've got multiple double doors so we can let the hordes of people, we hope, come in and buy tickets and enter the studio. But for our purposes, before we open the front, we come in the stage door, which is around the back, and it's maybe one little door. So the stage door limits the number of people that can go in and out, obviously. And I'm not talking about the big grand opening door. I'm just talking about one small door. Now, having said that, the idle air controller is a stage door. It's a very small, limited air volume door. The reason it's limited is because, if you'll remember, and I'm sure that a lot of people tuned in will, when Audi first was blamed with running over, people would crank their cars up and they'd say, my car just took off by itself, which, by the way, there was never a single case proven where that was the fact. Now, it happened, people did get hurt, but it was because they did not understand the methodology. And the methodology is this: anytime you first crank your engine, the idle air controller is wide open. The stage door is wide open. Okay. And that door only allows about 15 to 1600 RPM. My particular car idles at about 1300 RPM, and it is my course of action every morning when I fire my car. I let it idle, and then after about 15 seconds or so, depending on how cold the ambient temperature is, the engine will come down to its normally controlled idle speed, which is less than 800. So, the reason for an idle air controller is that you can, number one, have the engine race up when you first fire it because there's more friction, and also so you can adjust the speed of the engine when the load changes. We turn the air conditioner on, you turn the battery lights on so the alternator loads up. So you can take today's car, including your 99 Honda, when it's properly tuned, and watch the tachometer, and then turn the air conditioner on, and you'll see the tachometer dip its little head, but the idle air controller says, oop, I got you, and it'll, without touching the accelerator. That's why you don't have to touch the accelerator. So, okay, go ahead. I'll turn the mic to you.
Okay, let me ask you this, and I understand definitely exactly what you're saying. I purchased one and I put one on. Is it possible that I just got one that was maybe defective?
No. Anything's possible. But what happened and what you shouldn't do, well, first, let me say this. Even if the idle air controller was defective and was closed, the stage door is closed, the throttle plate on your engine is adjusted so that it will idle too low, but it will not go dead. And that's called base idle, or in Ford's vernacular, it's called hard stop idle. And what that means is you build the engine, you crank it up, you disconnect the idle air controller, and you set the throttle plate so that it'll idle at 450 RPM. It's idling very slow. Now, it will just barely stay running, but it will stay running. And the reason that the idle throttle plate, that's a mechanical setting that you never touch, and it's locked, and the nut and the screw is locked, and a lot of plates don't even have that anymore. But the bottom line is, the reason that the throttle plate is set so that it will let some air in is because when you have a hot throttle body, if the plate were shut all the way,
it will lock.
That's right. When the engine cooled down, the throttle plate would lock, and you step on the accelerator. Ford had this problem. A lot of you that are tuned in have had this problem years ago. If you've got a brand new car, not a brand new car, you've got a car that you just crank up in the morning and you step on the accelerator and it's stuck, and all of a sudden, bam, it comes loose. You say, my throttle is sticking. It was because of throttle plate base idle. I said all that to say that before you replace parts, you should have tested other things of the automobile, which means the throttle plate and timing and other performance items. I'm sure you have a question, so I'm going to hold you through the break, and we'll come back and we'll take it up from there. Don't go away, folks. We recently had the opportunity to work on a 2005 F-150. The vehicle owner was complaining about brake noise. His pads and shoes were not terribly old, but did have some miles on them. He's in the delivery service business, which puts his vehicle through a lot of stop-and-go traffic. This works the brakes really hard and can often lead to glazing and excessive brake dust. After performing a visual inspection, we cleaned the brakes using Berryman Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner. It's the first VOC-compliant chlorinated brake cleaner available in over 20 years. Berryman Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner is designed to stop brake squeal. It's the strongest carb-compliant brake cleaner available and dries completely without residue. As part of the process, we were sure to clean the pivot and shoe pad contact points along with the brake spring hardware and self-adjuster mechanisms. Brake dust gets everywhere, and a proper cleaning on an annual basis will lead to longer brake life and better brake performance. Learn more about the new Berryman Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner at berrymanproducts.com. That's berrymanproducts.com. Folks, we're testing an Intune i2 performance programmer from Diablo Sport, and we'll share feedback and results over the next few months. First is ease of installation. Directions were clear and the setup was easy. The Intune i2 is preloaded with dyno and street-tested performance programs developed specifically for your car or truck, ensuring optimal power and drivability gains. From there, you can then customize a tune tailored to your own performance needs. What a great way to boost power without even popping the hood. Diablo Sport Intune i2 has a fantastic look and now features the latest generation ARM processor for a higher resolution screen and an exceptionally responsive touchpad. You can update your i2 software on virtually any computer, Windows, Mac, Linux, and update times are fast. Even the large updates take no more than 5 minutes. I'll report more to you about the Intune i2 in the coming weeks. In the meantime, check out the i2 for yourself at diablosport.com. That's diablosport.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher at 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Miss Jen will take your call at 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. I promised that we would talk about Octane, and I will do that. But in the meantime, now's a good time for you to get in. We're talking with Shahid in New York about his Honda. 888 Car Clinic is the number. So let's get back to your Honda. Let me ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
How does the vehicle perform if you could magically, if the idle air controller could control the idle speed? In other words, if it idled okay, or maybe not the right speed, but if it idled, say, 1,000 RPM, which would be too high, would it idle smoothly? And how does it perform off idle and driving down the road?
Good question. I would say driving down the road, it doesn't drive terribly, even though the one other thing I was experiencing was misfire. But even with that, I wouldn't say it drives down the road terribly, but I would say when it was idling on its own, it did have a rough idle, even though, it did idle.
Right.
It was rough.
Got it.
It was rough.
So so here's my concern. My concern is, and how many miles on the 99 Honda?
Oh, over 300,000 miles on it.
Wow, that's amazing. And I'm sure you've had a couple of timing belts replaced along the way.
Well, since I've had it, I've only had it 2 years. I bought it over 200,000 miles on it. I've had it 2 going on 3 years. So no timing belt done since I've had it.
Okay. Well, there's some basics. So let's go back to basics, and please don't throw any more parts because you're chasing rabbits when you do.
Right.
When you
right.
when you do that. No. So do yourself a favor and folks just understand, because this gentleman spent $100 or plus, and if you had gone to a service shop and they put an idle air controller on it and you'd paid the labor and the parts and what have you, you'd go back and say, I still got the same problem. So.
Right.
So what we need to do is we need to determine the basics: the blood pressure, the throttle pulse, the beats per minute of your heart. So let's do the same thing for your engine, and there's a simple way to do that. The simplest way would be to perform a compression test.
Okay.
And I highly recommend a compression test. Are you capable of performing that, or do you need my help?
I can do it. I certainly believe I can.
Okay. Well, just remember that you remove all plugs, and just remember that when you spin the starter over with a compression gauge screwed into one cylinder at a time, you hold the throttle open because it has to get air. And also just remember that you only spin the starter 6 revolutions, the engine. And what you want to see is that first, because you don't know where the piston starts in the hole, it could be halfway up or halfway down or whatever. That first puff doesn't mean anything, but the first full stroke, you should see 60 to 75 psi, and after the 5th or 6th, no more than 6 strokes, you should see 135 to 170, depending on the engine and what have you. The main thing is, if you end up with 75 the first puff and 100.5 the last, and then all 4 of them are within 10%, you're okay. But if you've got one that shows 35 psi, and then after the 6th it's only up to 90 or 85, you got a problem in that hole. And when you do, that means that under idle speed, it's kind of like, okay, cruising down the road, because you can't feel that misfire. But at an idle, each one of those cylinders has to do its work. And that means that if it doesn't, then every time it comes for that cylinder that's not working to do its job, it steps down. And the engine, that means that the engine doesn't have the support of that push of that compression ratio. So that's the first thing I'd like for you to do, is to run a compression test, and then if you got, and then that's really the first thing you need to know. You need to know if you have internally a solid engine, because you can never fix on the outside what's not right on the inside. You got it?
Right. Got you.
Any questions?
I appreciate. Nope. And I was leaning that way, but like you said, I was chasing parts, and that kind of was.
I know, man. I know it's easy to do. It really is easy to do. I'm sort of obsessed with not. I just can't throw parts at a car, and we had an Audi in the shop this week that. Well, actually, we had it for several weeks, that really gave us a fit because it would lean, it would cause a misfire. The check engine light would come on, but every time you crank it up, it'd go out. And every time you bring it up above 3,000 RPM, it would come back on. And so we tried to determine. We did determine. We didn't try. But it took us some effort and some time. The best news about this is the owner was patient, and it wasn't his only car, so he didn't have to rent a car. And I will tell you, I was so proud because we actually condemned one of the high-pressure fuel systems using cold air, using colder air. That was another process. Hey, thanks for your call, and get back with me in the next week when you get on the other side, or if you have any other questions, I'll be glad to help you along your way.
Thanks a lot, Bobby.
You're welcome a lot, Shahid. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, last week I talked about octane. So, and let me give you the number, 888-227-2546. That's up to you to call. So, octane rating first, so that you'll understand. Octane rating is a measure of a fuel's ability to resist knock. The octane requirement of an engine, of course, varies with compression ratio, geometrical and mechanical considerations, and the operating conditions. The higher the octane number, the greater the fuel's resistance to knocking or pinging under acceleration or during combustion. Typically, today's smaller turbocharged engines perform best with a higher octane fuel. Unfortunately, car makers program their engines to run on lower octane. Why? Because that's a selling tool rather than to deliver all of the horsepower and torque their engines can produce. That's why you heard me talking about, as an aside here, companies like Diablo Sports and Super Chips offer reprogramming products. I mean, if you drive a Ford, a GM, a Chrysler, or a Jeep vehicle, and you haven't upgraded your onboard computer, you're leaving untapped MPG and performance on the table. You can go to DiabloSports.com and or Superchips.com. In fact, there's an overstock sale going on. It's been extended. So go to DiabloSports.com. But let's talk about octane. Last week, I mentioned the fact that fuel was 100 octane in Europe. Well, that's correct for Germany, but it's not so for Italy. Italy offers, and get this, benzina or benzene. That's some dirty stuff, by the way, in gasoline. Benzina senza piombo. What is that? I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but piombo, Piombo, is without lead. They also have benzina verde, which is green. And the normal octane is 95, and the special is 98 octane. Here's the problem. 98 octane in Italy is not 98 octane in the United States. Why? Because there are different sets of conditions under which the octane number is determined. And not to get too technical, but just to understand this. The first set of conditions is a load condition. It's sort of corresponding to everyday regular driving like we do. The number that results, it's called the research octane number, RON. The second set of conditions simulates a higher load on the engine. That number results in the motor octane number, or MON. So you've got RON and MON. Research octane number, motor octane number. Now, it turns out in Europe, the octane number posted is determined by the RON, the research octane method, whereas here in the United States, the number posted is according to the R plus M divided by 2 method. So they take the research octane number and the motor octane number, and they add them together, and they divide by 2. So then you have, I believe, a closer octane result because you have taken the 2 different methods and you've combined them and you divide it by 2, and it gives you the hard number. And here's an example. 87 octane in the U.S. is 92 octane in Europe. 89 octane here is 94 in Europe. And 92 octane here is 97 in Europe. Remember, Germany offers 100 octane, and I'm sure that has a lot to do with the performance cars and the vehicles on the Autobahn. And of course, I've been to Italy and been on the Autostrada, but it's a little different than it is in Germany. But I will say this, I had rented a VW, and I looked behind me, and I was in the left lane, and I saw lights coming on my tail, blinking, and I just moved over. And it's a good thing I did. I was probably running 80 or 100 kilometers or 60 or 70 miles per hour. This person must have been running 120 miles an hour. Went by me like I was standing still. That's what we need in the United States, an autostrada or an autobahn. You think we would take advantage of that? I can just see it now. A Ferrari or some guy with a Viper, or some guy that used to have a Viper. Oh, okay, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go. Haven, Maven. Think about that. And coming up, we're going to, in fact, I see he's on the line now, he being Harry Campbell, and also Rachel Bhattacharya. We have two individuals that are going to be sharing with us information about Maven. Maven Drive, it's unbelievable. You can go to, it's about the latest gig that you can think of. And Maven is experiencing a flexible mobility platform. They're expanding their platform. So we're going to be hearing about that. I'm going to be taking your calls at 888-227-2546. Oh, one last thing. Gas prices in Italy, $1.56 per, $1.56, well, 1.56 euro. That's per liter. Here in the States, per gallon, $2.41. That's down from a week ago, but it's up from the same time last year in all 10 regions. Okay, stick with me. Coming back, we're going to have Rachel and Harry and your calls at 888-227-2546. Here's an email from a car clinic listener. David writes, "What's the amber light on my dash? It looks like a cork pointing at an angle to a picture on the side of the car. This light has been on and off for about a year now, and I think it's time I check it out." Well, David, no time like the present. The light indicates a detected failure that could allow gasoline fumes to evaporate into the air, costing you money in lost fuel and polluting the air. Most common failure that trips the light? A small evap leak, or in other words, loose fuel cap. Besides being tight, the cap must also be in good condition. Fuel caps don't last forever, and poor quality caps don't work well from the beginning. Stant makes a large line of fuel caps that will last a very long time and ensure proper sealing of the system. Stant fuel caps are the only aftermarket caps to include all the safety features of the original equipment cap. Visit Stant.com or ask your local parts store for a Stant gas cap by name.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Give us a call with your car questions at 888 Car Clinic. LinkedIn predicts that by the year 2020, 43% of the U.S. workforce will be made up of workers who freelance. In recent years, companies like Airbnb, Uber, and Lyft have allowed people to take advantage of the sharing economy from renting out your home or sharing a vehicle. The gig economy has seen explosive growth. General Motors' car-sharing service, Maven, has been at the forefront of car and ride sharing and is launching a new service this week in California, which the company hopes to expand to other markets later this year. With us on the Car Clinic hotline are Rachel Bottichera, Director, Commercial Mobility, and for General Motors, and Harry Campbell, the rideshare guy. Very interesting individual both. Rachel and Harry, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in house.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Let's kick it
Thanks for
off.
having us.
Thank you, Harry. Rachel, let's kick off you first. Share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers about Maven Gig. How does the service work, and how does it help create jobs?
Sure. So I think, as you covered really well already, there's been explosive growth in the gig economy. And for a lot of people that wanted to do it full time, already had a car, already had a 36-month lease, there was a pretty good solution that existed. But if you're somebody that wants to try out the gig economy, maybe you're doing it in between jobs, maybe you just want to dip a toe and see if it's for you, there weren't a lot of great solutions, especially if you wanted to drive for more than one platform and experiment and see what the right fit was. So Maven Gig is really about solving that problem. So we offer a really flexible rental program. It's as little as a week, as long as about a month, a little more than that, and you can renew several times. And the idea here is to put a car in the hands of somebody that wants to use it to earn. So we take care of a lot of the pain points. We make sure they have insurance, because that can be a major problem. Usually you can't use personal car insurance and drive for commercial purposes. We also include maintenance. We include roadside assistance. And then in particular with the Bolt EV, which is the first vehicle we're launching with, we include all of the charging of the car as well, so they don't have any fuel cost. And for most of the people driving for these kinds of services, they put a lot of miles on the car, and fuel can run between $70 to $100 a week. So with the charging built in, they don't have any sort of surprise costs.
Now, you mentioned the Bolt EV. Do you expect that list to grow as far as the brands that you'll be partnering with?
I would. I mean, we started with the Bolt simply because we've been renting to rideshare drivers for a while now, I think a little over a year, in partnership with Lyft, and then we added Uber towards the end of last year. And the Bolt EV had been by far the most popular choice. So we started with that. It also, with the charging included, is the lowest cost of use for a renter. So we wanted to make sure we gave them something that would really maximize their earning potential at the end of the day. But yes, I mean, we are part of General Motors, right? So we have access to a wide array of vehicles. And in the other programs, we've offered everything from a Chevy Cruze all the way up to, I believe we've done Equinoxes and Terrains for people that wanted a larger vehicle. So we can bring those back in and expand the fleet as necessary. I think right now the Bolt has just been such a popular vehicle, we figured we'd just stick with it.
Seems to me that you're opening up a lot of freedom of choice for a lot of folks that are interested in the gig economy. Let's talk about California and specifically where you will roll the launch out.
So we're starting in San Diego and then rolling rapidly into San Francisco and Los Angeles. And the logic on California is simply that with the Bolt, we wanted to make sure we started somewhere with great charging infrastructure. So we are partnering with EVgo, and they are nationwide, but where they just had the largest concentration was in California. So we decided to start there. But we're working hand in hand with them literally right now on the national rollout. So we can, with this program, stimulate charging infrastructure for the public. So it's not just for us. We're creating publicly available charging because we bring known demand. So we can say, here's a bunch of Bolt EV renters. We can tell them when they're coming. We can say how many cars. And with that, they can build their infrastructure out knowing there's a customer. And for them, that's a huge benefit to their business overall. And for us, obviously, it's a great partnership as well.
Okay, great. Rachel, another quick question, and Harry, we're coming to you next. But Rachel, what's included in the rental, and what are drivers responsible for covering if you provide the insurance and, of course, the maintenance? What's the responsibility of the renter?
Basically just to go out and earn, honestly. So they're paying us just a flat fee every week. That covers the vehicle, that covers the charging, that covers insurance, that covers any maintenance. If they need a tow, we cover that. They shouldn't because they're great vehicles, but if anybody rear ends them or something and they need to get a tow, we can do that. The only expense they would theoretically have would be if they had an accident. There is an insurance deductible, just like any other plan, and they'd be on the hook for that part of it. But otherwise, assuming that nothing untoward happens, they basically just pay the rental and they're good to go. That's it.
Seems to me like this is a no-brainer. It's a fantastic idea. We're talking with Rachel Bhattacharya, Director of Commercial Mobility for General Motors. And now let's shift gears. Harry Campbell, the rideshare guy. Harry, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Connect. Thanks for your patience.
Thanks for having me on.
If you would, Harry, tell our Car Clinic listeners and viewers who might be surprised about your job. I understand that you were an aerospace engineer, and then you left that to drive for Uber and then Lyft full-time, and now you also blog about your experience as a driver. Obviously, you have a passion for ride-sharing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you couldn't tell by the name of my blog, The Rideshare Guy, I am quite passionate about the industry, and I actually started as an Uber and Lyft driver 3 years ago, so I'm still doing it part-time now. I actually do Uber, Lyft, and then some other food delivery services part-time, but my full-time job now is running the blog, The Rideshare Guy, and really providing a lot of information and a lot of content for a lot of these, flexible for these workers that are looking for flexible gigs and looking for jobs in the gig economy. They're coming to our site to get information from a third party who can tell them all about the good and the bad about being a driver.
Now, on your blog, do you share your thoughts and your everyday? Give us just a 30,000-foot view of what our listeners could find if they go to the Rideshare Guy.
Sure, definitely. So, I mean, we've got a lot of content on getting started with these services. So whether you want to drive for Lyft or Uber or go and deliver for Grubhub or another food delivery service, we've got information on what the requirements are. So, I mean, as you can imagine, a big topic for a lot of new drivers is the vehicle they're driving. And we've got a whole section sort of dedicated to the different vehicle options, and so they can get that type of information. And then just what's going on in the industry. I mean, this is a pretty new and innovative industry, so there's a lot changing, and I think a lot of people that come into it, they want to get the latest up-to-date information and really just strategies about driving, maximizing your money. I mean, just like you and I and just like everyone else, drivers want to make as much money as possible, so they're looking for strategies on how to do that.
Well, to that end, Harry, what advice would you give to those people who might be looking to take the leap from another career as you did, or perhaps they're simply out of work and they're looking for a driver for a living or just the extra cash?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I think what we've seen is that driving for Uber and Lyft or really any of these gig services is a great and the two things that drivers care about most are the pay and flexibility. I think for a lot of people looking to get into this industry, a product like the Maven gig, I think is going to be the perfect entryway because they can really try things out, and it does allow them to be flexible. One of the things that a lot of drivers focus on is their income. At the same time, obviously, you do have expenses. If you own your own car and you're using it, you're putting miles on your car every week, you're paying for gas. So looking for that solution that is going to be able to count your income and your expenses can definitely be a big help.
No question about it. We'll be looking for the growth of this new initiative from General Motors. Rachel and Harry, thank you so much. Rachel, a website so that our listeners can find more information. Is that gig.maven, MAVEN.com?
That is correct. Perfect.
Okay. And Harry, again, to reach out to your site is the Rideshare Guy. Is that .com?
Yep, that's perfect.
Well, much success to you both, and thank you for your time today. It's a very interesting, I started to say concept, but it's not really a concept. It's just a new program that will take time to roll out. And what I think is really neat about this whole gig, if you will, is the fact that you've got a brand new automobile, so the chances of having a breakdown, at least you don't have to worry about that. So folks, if you're interested in making extra bucks, you need to follow exactly what's going on here so you can take part in it. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us on Bobby Likis Car Connect. Harry, thank you as well.
Thanks, Bobby.
Well, I thought Harry went away there. Well, Harry and Rachel, a great job. Thank you so much. Folks, I've learned also that more than 100 million miles have been driven through Maven's on-demand rental for ride-sharing program, and more than 9.3 million rides have been given in Maven vehicles for ride-sharing. And one of the, I think, most interesting points about Maven, whether or not you would be interested in not, and by the way, I've had the Maven app on my iPhone for about 6 or 8 months. So it was really interesting when we had the opportunity to bring these folks on today to share more information. But you're going to see more and more where, and this, I guess, is really neat when you think about it. If you didn't want to go out and buy a car, let's say that you wanted to try a gig, and you weren't sure if that was going to be enough income for you, or you weren't sure you really were going to like that, and you didn't really have an automobile that was in good enough shape or was nice enough to like an Uber or what have you. And I've used Uber, and I will tell you, I like the fact that as a rule, in fact, the times that I used Uber, the vehicles were like 25, 30,000 miles. One, I think, had 15,000 miles and was as new, never been smoked in. I mean, it was really a nice experience. And no flame against cabs, but I've been into a lot of cabs that were, in pretty poor shape. Now, having said that, let's just say that we wanted to go into the delivery business. Well, if we go into the delivery business and we need a car, or go into Uber, or we give ride sharing, you need a car, this is a pretty neat way to do that. And the Bolt would be especially great because if your rental from GM is going to take care of insurance and maintenance, hey, that's a no-brainer. So it's just another example of where we are in our lives today and how the technology and how things continue to change. And I think it's really, really interesting. I mentioned, so that I digress here, but in closing, I had researched some prices on gasoline in Italy because, well, actually in Denmark and Belgium and Sweden and other countries. But in Italy, it's $5.96 for a regular grade, and that's in U.S. dollars, and that's in Milan. So that's $5.96. What would we do if gas prices were $6 a gallon? Well, number one, the OEMs wouldn't sell as many SUVs or pickup trucks. I mean, Fabio, you laugh, but that's a fact. We talked about this. Gosh, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and 4 or 5 years ago, gas prices were in the threes. And then there was one area, and Miss Jan, if you may remember, I think it was Alaska, where gas prices were $6 and some odd, and I can't think of the name of the little town there, but the reason the gas prices where was it? Well, it wasn't Kenai. No, it was up in the boondocks, you might say, of Kenai, Alaska. And we have a great station in Kenai, Alaska, but it was in a more rural area than Kenai, which meant that specific fuel trucks had to drive up, no telling what kind of a path to get there. But you got to have fuel. People live there. They have to have gasoline. So that was a delivery cost as well. But I think it's very interesting that and I've got a couple more facts here for you as well. In Italy, as I said, $5.96 a gallon. Denmark, $5.93. Well, they're all $5.93 to $5.80. Sweden, Belgium, Denmark, and Italy. So I want to thank my good friend Carlo Canepa for reminding me that in Italy they do not have 100 octane fuel. And you're right. Germany, yes, they do. But I'm sure that the Special there in Naples, as I said, which was 98 octane, is really about 92 octane here in the United States. Let's go to Washington and talk to Victor. Victor, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house, sir.
Thanks. On the new cars, can they be hacked, or can control be taken away from the driver via internet control from some other source?
No.
Cannot.
Well, the answer to that is it depends. I mean, is it possible? Yes, because, as you know, that we've seen it in the headlines. In fact, a couple of years ago on this program, we had one of the gentlemen who was in the media, and it made big headlines on YouTube and Fox and what have you about there were two guys in the back seat, and he was driving, they were controlling the car. Understand, they had access to the wiring of the automobile, so they didn't hack that car. They hacked it, yes, but they had access to it. Now, you can, and there has been evidence of some hacking to the wireless. And for me, hacking means that somebody can walk up, push a button, unlock your car, and get in the car and drive off. And I can tell you, that's possible, Victor, but what happens is the manufacturers, whenever that happens, or if it happens, the first thing they're going to do is find out how it works, and then they're going to stop it. And in there lies the real bottom line. Just like spam, the bad news is we get spam. The good news is, and some of it's malicious. The good news is we create programs that shield us from spam. And the terrible news is that we're out of time. But another hour coming up. I'm Bobby Likis. Thank you for tuning in. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Dear Bobby, while traveling, my 08 Subaru needed to have a tire replaced due to a puncture. I could not find the exact tire and used an off-brand instead. Different brand, but same size. Could this cause problems for my all-wheel drive vehicle? Tire diameter is critical, especially on all-wheel drive vehicles. Using the same size from different manufacturers can create enough of a difference to be an issue, even with just one tire. Not to mention the differences in tread wear levels. The vehicle could shudder on turns. It could even damage the all-wheel drive system. In some vehicles, the all-wheel drive system becomes disabled and won't work at all. Vehicle manufacturers state the concern about mismatched tires and diameter differences through their service departments and technical service bulletins. Some vehicle manufacturers actually require replacement tires in sets of 4 to help avoid any issues. Buying off-brand tires can also be a problem because not all brands have nationwide coverage. This is just one of the reasons we recommend General Tire so frequently, as they're available coast to coast. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulsiford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulsiford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
Hey, good morning, folks. Welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Ride along with me, and we'll exchange stories. I'll share with you some interesting information about things that I've learned this week in my own automotive service shop, some 46 years in Pensacola, Florida. And we come to you from the center of the automotive universe, which is right here in the inside our 15,000 square foot automotive service shop. We have this all digital studio, and I appreciate you tuning in. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by Super Chips and the new Flashpack F5 Performance Tuner. Add horsepower in minutes without even turning a wrench, without even opening the hood. This is a way cool product. Drive to superchips.com for all the details and to figure out how you can plug and play and get more horsepower and torque, which leads to MPG out of your Ford, GM, Chrysler, or Jeep vehicle. This segment also brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts. You know, keeping a car clean is a simple, inexpensive form of maintenance. I know. And O'Reilly Auto Parts has all the cleaning and detailing items that you'll ever need. Washes, waxes, polishes, even leather and vinyl care products. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts for Clean Car Month. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. I'll be back with your calls.
O'Reilly. If your wiper blades are worn and streaking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and save $8 instantly on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Improve visibility and save money with Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, take advantage of our free wiper blade installation. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Super Chips Performance Tuners are a great way to increase vehicle power without even turning a wrench. But don't take our word for it. According to professional angler Glenn Brown, a Super Chips Flash Pack has become a necessity. The additional horsepower and torque makes the whole towing experience that much better. It also increases fuel economy on my Duramax diesel by 2 to 3 miles per gallon. Now, through October 15th, enter the Power Up and Win promotion. You could win wheel tire packages, cold air intakes, and other great prizes. Learn more at superchips.com. We recently had the chance to talk tires with John Robinson, Senior Communications Specialist at General Tire. John touched on a number of different things, including what you can do to best maintain your vehicle's tires.
For maintaining the vehicle tires, our recommendation is to always run the proper air pressure, to check the pressures on a regular basis. When cleaning the tire, not to use harsh chemicals. Just soap and water will make the tires look good. It will clean them up very well. But the biggest thing is just checking them on a regular basis, not only air pressure, but the tread depth. You can check the tread indicators as well as doing the Lincoln penny test.
The Grabber HTS 60 provides the perfect synergy of comfort, durability, and performance for your light truck or SUV. The Grabber HTS 60 StabiliTread creates a flatter and larger contact patch, which promotes even wear and longer tread life. Take advantage of the 45-day trial and see what you think. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour. We have Joseph, and we're going to put Joseph directly on the air. And I would invite you, versus waiting till the last 5 minutes, because toward the end of this hour, we just get, the phones are so crammed that we really can't and don't have the time to spend with each and every one of you. And I want to share with you, and understand this, folks, I don't have all the answers with regard to automotive service or repair or products. But so I'm not here to fix your car, but I am here to share with you buzzwords and information that you can do what with. You can go to your local service provider, which ultimately you will have to do to repair your automobile, but you'll have the right questions. You'll know the right questions to ask. And you'd be surprised at how many, and this is a lot of fun for me, we have a lot of women who will call in, and I'll give them buzzwords. And I can just imagine, and we joke about it, but in a fun way, we perform our post-show meeting every Saturday after we finish our 2 hours of broadcast here. And we talk about the things that we did well and the things that we can do better. We've done that for 26 years now. And we talk about the fact that, what do you think this shop owner or this service desk fellow is going to do? Because usually it's a guy versus a gal thing. When this lady walks in and says, yeah, I've got a particular problem with I'll say power window, because I see Joseph's town car is about a power window. And I can hear a clicking noise, so I know the motor's working. And so that would be something that, how could she possibly know that? Because of clicking noise. So that would mean that it would be a regulator or a gear drive or something besides the window motor. And those are the kind of things that you can be armed with when you go into a service shop, or if maybe not that specific, you can have the right question to ask them, and not just hand them the keys and say, well, make this go away, and then you come back and you've spent $500 that you didn't even have a clue you're going to spend. Anyway, that's what I'm here for. And 888 Miss Jan, who is fantastic at what she does for all of the company, not only Car Clinic Network, but also for our Car Clinic Service pre-repair, which is a lot of guys and a lot of customers and a lot of cars to fix on a daily basis. And she's the jack of all trades. She also pays the bills. So she's a little more than a jack of all trades. She's a great balancer of the checkbook as well. We still have, do we have any money left over at the end of the week, Miss Jan? Okay, we don't want to go there. 888 Car Clinic is the number. 888-227-2546. Joseph, thanks for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hi, Bobby.
Hi, sir.
Bobby, I have a Lincoln Town car.
Okay.
And the passenger side power window quit on me a couple days ago. Looked on the internet, looked in the owner's manual, and finally from the internet gotten at it. I know there's 2 fuse boxes, and the one under the hood I looked at this morning said fuse number 11 might be the culprit. I took out fuse number 11, and it's good. It's not cracked or anything like that. So I'm suspecting either the regulator or the motor. I looked about taking it apart, or the door panel, and that looks to me like major surgery, so I'm not even going to attempt it. Is there any way I could tell whether it was the regulator or the motor?
Mm-hmm.
There's no clicking sounds or anything like that, okay? Without getting it all taken apart, I was figuring I could order either a regulator or a motor myself. Is there any way I could tell that without having that thing taken apart?
Possibly. Here's what I would recommend. And I would recommend you do this in your garage. Is this a garage? Do you have a garage?
Yes, that's where it is now.
Okay. I would recommend you do this in the garage. Even at nighttime would be better. And you'll be able to tell. What you'll want to do is you'll want to turn the ignition switch on. If you have automatic headlights, I'm sure you do, you want to turn that feature off so that you're in your dark garage. Here's the point. In your dark garage, in your car, with the key on but the headlights off, and then the only thing now that you have that is illuminated would be the dome light. that's what you want to use as your guide, your dome light. Now you know if you hit the starter or turn on the headlights, you'll see the dome light flicker because there's a voltage amperage draw, right?
Right.
Okay. So with the key on, and to familiarize yourself with the procedure, you want to go to the window that works. So your driver window, is that the one that works?
Yes.
Okay.
They all work except the passenger side.
Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at the dome light, and on the driver's window that's either all the way up or all the way down, either way, if it's all the way up, push the up button again and just push it and let go of it. And every time you push it and let go of it, you'll see the dome light flicker because you're trying to make that window go up, but it's already stalled. It's already up, but the battery says, "Oops, I see a little current draw there," and that will make that dome light flicker, and that will tell you that the switch that you're pushing power to make the driver's window go up is sending voltage there. But then, of course, the car realizes that it's already up, so the window doesn't move, but the light still flickers. That's what I want you to do first. It has nothing to do with the other window, except that I want you to understand that you can watch the little instantaneous battery voltage to make that window go up. You with me so far?
I'm with you.
Now, I want you to go to the window that does not work, and I want you to, by the way, is it all the way up or down?
It's all the way up, thank goodness.
Okay, yeah, thank goodness. Yeah, I figured that much, but okay.
Yeah.
So now I want you to go to the window that does not work and push the up button. Now you say, wait a minute, I want it to come down. We don't care, doesn't matter. You're going to push the up button. You're not going to hold it. You're just going to.
Bobby?
Yes.
Excuse me, on the up button on the passenger side and on the driver's door,
Right.
or either one?
Either one. Either one.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I assume you've already tried both those switches, and it works from neither one.
That's right. Both of them don't work.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I'd already assumed that, but thanks for bringing that up because that was so easy that I figured you'd already been there, which is a compliment, by the way. So,
thank you.
You're welcome. Anyway, so you'll do the same thing with the right switch. I mean, with the driver switch for the right door. Now, if the light does not dim, you'll know that power is not getting to that door, and that will help us to know whether or not it's a wiring issue or it's the motor. If the motor is defective, and I suspect that it is, you still should be able to watch the battery try to move that stubborn motor, but the motor sees it won't work. And you'll see that, oh, wait, it's getting voltage, but so therein lies an easier way for you without having any tools or any current draw or amperage draw or battery or any training to see if indeed there is voltage going to that motor, but that motor is stuck in place. Do you understand?
Understand.
Okay. And now here's one final thing, and I've repaired some a lot of cars for people that were on the road and had their windows stuck down, and they didn't have time. They were transit. They were just coming through our shop, and it rained. They whipped into the shop and they said, "Hey, my window's down and it's raining and I'm on the road. Can you help me?" And I really need to be somewhere, because people don't want to stop and get things fixed on the road. I mean, that's a pain. Sometimes you have to if it's a breakdown, but if it's something that could be fixed. So I've actually, and this is something you can try, and it's an old-fashioned mechanical way to jar the motor. You go over to the door panel below where the armrest is, where that flat part of the panel is, and you ball your fist up. Now you got the key in the run position, but the engine is not off, or it could be running. It could be, and running might be better because that way you've got ample power. Now again, this time you've got the garage door open, and you've already established the fact that. Oh, and I'm sorry. The first test you run with the key in a run position, but the engine shut off because you want the voltage to be stabilized and you won't see any trickle. You want to be able to catch that. So the first test that I shared with you, you do with the key on but the engine off. The next, and then if you see that it does dim the light, then you'll want to open the garage door. You'll crank the engine, let it idle, go around to the passenger's door that doesn't work, and put your finger on the down button, making sure that you've got the windows unlocked, because and then I want you to bang the door with your fist, and that will shock the window motor, and it just might dislodge it, and it might work from there. Got to take a hard break coming up. Don't go away. Folks, recently we had a for-sale on a 2014 Nissan Frontier in the shop. The customer said the vehicle wasn't running well, nothing specific, but fuel mileage was down and the vehicle had lost its zip. As he explained, it's a manual transmission, so I know what it should feel like, and it's just not right. The suggested maintenance and ignition service were up to date, and there were no trouble codes. So what was the problem? The answer lies with today's complex engines. While the maintenance schedule was on time, engines today are prone to carbon deposit formation, and fuel system cleaning is a key piece of the puzzle. Professional fuel system cleaning is an option, but a less expensive alternative is the use of a pour-in fuel system cleaner. We use Berryman B12 Chem Tool in the shop. It features Berryman's proprietary high-energy solvent, or HEST technology. We poured a bottle of Berryman B12 Chem Tool into the Frontier, and after just one tank of gas, MPG improved and the vehicle regained its zippiness. For more information, drive to BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com. Let's dive into another Car Clinic email. Dear Bobby, my vehicle has just gone out of warranty. It has 48,000 miles, and now all maintenance is my responsibility. Can you suggest a maintenance checklist? I'd like to keep this vehicle long-term. Assuming your vehicle is about 4 years old and has just under 50,000 miles on the odometer, we suggest starting with the fluids. Think brake fluid, transmission fluid, and of course coolant. The cooling system is often overlooked. While coolant and cooling systems have evolved through the years, they still need service. Have the cooling system flushed and refilled with a proper antifreeze coolant for your specific vehicle, and inspect all belts and hoses. And don't forget the thermostat and radiator cap. Complete the system service with a new Stant Superstat and a new Stant radiator pressure cap. This is a great way to extend the life of all cooling system components and add reliability to your vehicle. Stant products meet or exceed OE quality in both fit and function. Learn more at Stant.com. That's Stant.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip
from Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I kept Joseph through the break because Joseph, at the end of the going into the commercial there, I said to bang the door, but I didn't mean to bang the door. You bang the door panel, and what I want you to do is I want you to shock. And you'll pick a place to do it on the flat part of the panel. I want you to shock that door. So you'll have the door open. You'll have the engine idling, so you have lots of voltage. And you don't have to race the engine, but just idling. And headlights still off. And then you'll push the down button on the door, and you'll bang that door panel. And you'll do it again. You'll bang that door panel. Now, don't hold the button on the door window, the window switch down. Don't hold it down, because if it is sending voltage to the motor and you held it in the down position, it would open circuit because it would be stalled and it would automatically open a circuit. So you'd think you were doing something, and you wouldn't. So you hold the down switch on the window, and at the same time you hold the down switch, you bang the door on the door panel on the inside and vibrate the door, and then you quit, and then you do it a couple times, and lo and behold, if the motor is seized, it just might nudge and turn loose, and if it does, work that window up and down 5 times. Now, you may work it 4 or 5 times, and the window may stop halfway up because it gets hot. But if you've got it dislodged, and the reason this works, Joseph, is because, and could work, is because all window motors stall when the window goes to the top. The window stalls the motor, and the motor is under duress, and then the gears are strained. And then when you try to reverse them, sometimes they won't reverse because they were parked under a strain. It's similar to turning a steering wheel when you're parking in your drive and pulling the key out with a lock, and then you can't turn the key because you got to move the steering wheel back and forth. You understand all that?
I understand, Bobby.
Okay,
one
my
more
friend.
thing I want to run by you, okay?
Sure.
I noticed that window before this happened was a little slow going down and up.
Yeah,
does that help you?
Well, yeah, it helps you. Here's the bottom line. To fix this problem, you do not want to replace the motor. You want to replace the motor and regulator, because the pain and suffering and the labor to get in there and to put a motor means you got to go in and take all this mechanism apart once you get this mechanism out and on the bench. So that's just, and then if 2 weeks later or a month later, if you came into my shop, I'd put a regulator assembly, which includes the motor, because it's a better job, it's a better guarantee, and you can be done with it. So ultimately, that's what I want you to do, if that's what it takes, and I don't want you to try to attempt that at all. But if the banging doesn't work, if it does, call me back, and you may get a year out of that without having to spend that whatever it costs. Okay?
Good. I appreciate it, Bobby.
You're welcome, sir. Okay, let's go next to Patrick, and then we're going to go to Jim. So Patrick in Texas, and then Jim in Detroit, and I see that Brennan and Ronnie and George are on, and there is another line or so open at 888 Car Clinic. Patrick, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hello.
Hey.
I have a 1997 Ford F-250.
Yeah, that's one problem.
5.7-liter gas.
Okay. All right. So what can I do for you?
Well, driving it just the other day, I started getting a tick out of the motor.
Yes, sir.
And I've been reading different things, and I was wondering if you had any experience or any recommendations for, like, the additives, like Rislone or any of that stuff that I might try to make this, to see if it's something simple rather than something complex.
Well, you said a tick out of the motor.
It's on the passenger side, I think.
Okay. You know, it could be. It could be a loose spark plug. I mean, it could.
Oh, okay.
It could even be a spark plug that's broken, or it could be it would misfire if that's the case. Does it misfire?
It didn't when and it just started a few days ago. But when I tried to start it up, it backfired, and that's the first time it's ever done that.
Ah. Well, you know, and I don't know where that came from in my brain. It would be wonderful if that was the case. And if that is the case, you could have a bad coil or a bad wire, and that that you hear could be voltage jumping a gap. I've seen, or it could be a spark plug loose in the hole. That's not normal, but a car repair is not normal anyway. There's no such thing as normal. So, and also, Patrick, you might want to buy, and you can go to, is there an O'Reilly Auto Parts store in your neck of the woods?
Yep, right down the street.
All right. I would suggest, if you're going to really diagnose this vehicle and save yourself money, and you can use this tool around the house for all sorts of things, buy a stethoscope, a mechanic's stethoscope, and you can pinpoint where a ticking noise is coming from in your engine. Now, just beware what you don't want to do with a stethoscope. With the engine idling, you don't want to touch anything that's rolling, moving, alternator, belts, and what have you, because it'll really, it explode the noise in your eardrum. And also, just for fun, you don't want to put the probe on the bottom of the oil pan because you'll think that the engine is coming apart because there's all sorts of little clunks and bangs and ticks and noises inside an engine that it's magnified by this mechanic's stethoscope. But that's what I'd recommend that you do first. And then once you pinpoint the noise, you can have a better idea of what next steps to take. Got it?
I do. So the additive thing.
Well,
not
that's
worth the time or
well,
money.
no, because you could, number one, the expense that you would buy of the additive, it's what we call in the industry pour and pray. And not that additives are not good, but people buy additives, they pour in the gas tank and pray it fixes the problem. I don't want you to pour and pray.
Right.
I want you to know what you're headed for, and by buying and investing in a stethoscope that you can use for all sorts of things around the house and your car, you'll have a better idea, because ultimately you're probably going to have to pay a mechanic to fix the automobile, and this way you can be well armed with, here's where I see the noise, I hear the noise, the loud. You got it? Right. Now you got it, right?
Yep.
Okay, my friend.
No, I got it, and that's kind of why I wanted to give you a call, just to get your input.
Where you live?
Tyler, Texas.
Tyler. Well, thank you so much for your call. It's always great to hear from folks there in Tyler. And when you get to the other side of your repair, or if you have another question, you call me back, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Let's go to Detroit now and talk to Jim. And then we're going to go to Lawrence. I see Lawrence and George and Ronnie and Brennan. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding. Glad to have you back.
Well, I'm glad to be back. Let's hope we're on track. When my wife tries to pick the winner of the Kentucky Derby, she wants the one-eyed horse to win.
Oh, she wants a what? Is there a one-eyed horse?
Yeah, there's a one-eyed horse in the race. He's only got one eye that's working. I'm serious.
Well, maybe that energy that would go to that eye will go to his legs. And who knows? I never thought about it, but I guess that could be a handicap or not. Don't they put blinders? Do they put blinders? No, they don't put blinders on horses, do they?
Yes, they do.
What for what purpose? Gosh, here we're talking about cars, but horsepower on a hoof versus under the hood. They use blinders on those Surrey races, right?
Well, they use them on a regular Kentucky Derby race too, because you want the horse to comply to the rider, not to look at the other horses.
Oh, yeah, cool. Okay, all right. Well, let's talk cars in. Well, anyway, best of luck to your wife.
The horse.
All right.
Oh well, at least I started with some funny information.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. Now let's say we're interested in improving our car that's 5, maybe 7 years old.
Okay.
And we want the features that make it as safe as a new car.
That's a stretch. That's a stretch. I'm interested now. You piqued my interest.
Okay, I piqued your interest. Now I would like insurance companies to cooperate with lower rates if you put these added features on your car, which makes it safer for you to drive. For example, the blind spot monitor, which causes accidents. If you have that monitor on your car, your potential right there is to have less accidents.
I agree.
And your insurance should be lowered. If you're making the effort, they should make the effort.
I agree.
If this economy is going to grow, we've got to work together.
So is that the case, or is that not? Well, can you actually put that blind side? Can you do that? Can you update a car that's 6 years old?
The articles I'm reading, yes, you can. And you might want a mechanic that knows more than you do to do it, but you can buy 5 extra features for your car in the market of tops $500 that will improve the safety of your car. For example, you can have a lane change warning added to your older car, which may not have it. And you can add a collision warning. All these changes are important. You can add even a rear view mirror. And if you add all these, you're going to be prone to not be in the way of others and to have less of a chance of an accident and not making a report to your insurance company. So I think it's a go all the way across.
I agree. I agree with that. And to that end, Jim, For those of you who are tuned in to watch Bobby Live, I'm currently holding a little monitor that this is about 1 3/4 by 1 3/4, and it's about a little under a 1/2 inch thick. Can you see that, Fabio? And so folks that are watching it, Watch Bobby Live, I'm holding a unit that is a monitor, and it's on the front it says State Farm, technology by Cambridge Mobile Telematics. This is a bug that came out of my Viper that I just sold because every one of my cars has a State Farm reporter, data reporter in it, and this records how fast I accelerate, how fast I de-accelerate or brake, how hard I turn, and a lot of people would not put this in their cars, and you would think that I, of all people, would not do that. I did it for several reasons. Number one, because I get a discount from State Farm by having this unit in my car. I also did it so I could compare my driving to others. And there is one area where I am an underachiever, and that is in the case of speed. And I compared my driving to different age groups in my state or other states, and I find that my speed is higher than the norm. I also find my braking is superior. I also find that my turns are better. But you know what? They're that way because I don't like to wear my tires or brakes, and I use my paddle shifters to downshift. Very interesting. There's that brake again. I'm sorry, folks. Lawrence, George, Brennan, stay right there. Jim, you stay. And folks, you don't touch that dial. We're going to come back. We've got a longest segment coming up.
Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts, and your car's battery is what keeps it all going. Here's something to keep in mind. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. So be sure to choose a battery with PowerFrame technology inside. It's stronger, more durable, and keeps you going longer. That means you can count on a battery with PowerFrame to be there start after start. Here's another reason to feel good about choosing a battery with PowerFrame inside. It's manufactured using the latest sustainable processes. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. So the next time you need to replace your car's battery, make sure you choose one with PowerFrame technology inside. Look for PowerFrame on the outside and know there's true strength on the inside.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We'll move right back and right along because the phones are jammed. 888 Car Clinic. We still have plenty of time to get your call in. 227-2546. Okay, Jim, I agree with all that you said with regard to updating a used car. I think it's essential that if you're going to do that, that you have the right technician and mechanic that installs this equipment for sure. What else did you bring us this morning, sir?
Okay, Bobby, what else I brought to you? We were talking just a couple of weeks back about cars improving. Now, the electric Bolt, B-O-L-T, can do 238, but the new Tesla car can do 335. Now, let's keep climbing up another step of the ladder. Lucid has a new car coming out in 3 months on one charge that'll do 400 miles on a charge. That means to me electrical cars are going to be more of a challenge for those that don't worry about going cross-country often.
Yeah, I agree. And there again, the technology. See, now one thing we do not have is the Holy Grail. And the Holy Grail in the EV cars is the battery that can truly, or batteries that can truly move us 500-600 miles. But just look at what you just said, 400 miles, Tesla 300 miles. I mean, truly, we are and we will get there. I believe that will continue to be a vertical segment. And I believe that the internal combustion engine will be with us for a long time to come because manufacturers continue to increase the horsepower and decrease the emissions. What else did you have, sir? And we'll move on.
Okay, Bobby, to move on, I want to talk briefly about GM that had a troubling issue in Venezuela. It's now been resolved without a court issue. The government there has agreed to cooperate with GM. They want our production facility in operation, and it's agreed upon without any court action. I think that's good news.
I think it's good news. I wish that we had more time for more details as to how that happened, but we do not. But I'm just glad to see that, of course, Venezuela is not a friend of ours anyway, but the bottom line is I'm glad to see that GM's got their workers. I presume that they're back in the house and they're working and building cars. Is that correct?
Well, they gave them a separation check already, so I would think that they'd have to I think they'd be willing to come back rather than to live on a separation check.
Well, I would think so. Hey, my friend, thank you so much. Great report. I'm excited to hear about the upgrading of a used car because that saves a lot of money. And I'll tell you, Jim, quite candidly, I've recommended new cars to people that had used cars that came into my facility for two reasons. Number one, it took a lot of money to repair their existing car. And number two, they were older drivers, and the older the driver, the more asset you have when you buy a new car because of the safety features that are part of that car. And to that end, that's where self-driving cars are helping us already today. Jim, thanks so much for your report. See you next week.
We'll look forward to it, Bobby.
And now with that, let's go to New York and take a call from George, and then we'll move on from there. George, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yes, thanks, Bobby, for taking my call.
Pleasure.
I got a 2003 Caravan that I just bought, and has 200,000 miles on it. I bought it online from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And the guy had hit a deer. I bought it for $350, put the front end all back together.
Right.
Thing runs perfect, except for one thing bothers me. If it sets for a while, when you start it, it'll have that bearing sound like "eek" until like almost it just goes and stops immediately, about a second or so.
Right.
And it doesn't do it all the time. And two of my sidewalk mechanics told me, one said it might be bearings wearing thin, the other one said it might be a timing belt. And I wanted your opinion on that, and if there's a way, maybe some fluid you could recommend to me that might extend that motor if that's the case.
Okay, here's what I want you to do, because that noise that you described led me into a different direction. gosh, I'm really not into engines, no pun intended, today as much as I normally would be. You may have something so simple as an alternator clutch.
Oh.
Yeah. Believe it or not, there are clutches in alternators that reduce the drain on the engine, and that clutch can really cause a problem. So here's what I want you to do. First, a yes or no. Can you assure me that every time you crank this vehicle after waiting the proper amount of time or whatever's required, that it makes this noise upon first starting?
It doesn't do it all the time. That's what I'm saying. If I let the car set for a couple of days.
Well, let's just, okay, but if you let it set for 2 days, would it always do it?
Yeah, and to a different extent. Sometimes it's real quick. Sometimes it's a little longer.
Okay.
No more than probably a second or two.
Okay. Then I want you to take the drive belt off the engine.
Okay.
And park it for 2 days. And then I want you to fire the engine with no drive belts, because now you're eliminating air conditioning clutch, air conditioning bearing, water pump, power steering, and alternator.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea.
That is, it's an excellent idea. Yeah, you'd think I'd learned this from somewhere. And so
I
George,
just learned it.
yeah. And then if there's no noise, voila, your engine internally is not producing the noise. It's from an accessory. Now you can pinpoint that accessory. You put the belt back on, you wait another 2 days or whatever. Well, actually you put the belt back on, and it probably would make the noise, because with the belt off, whatever's making the noise didn't have its chance to make noise anyway. So you're killing two birds with one stone. Try that. Let me know how it works for you.
Yeah. Now, one quick question. This got 200,000 miles on it.
Okay.
Is there something you would recommend I could add to the oil, or certain oil or whatever, to extend the life of that engine?
There are companies that make high mileage oils. You'll want to stick with the original viscosity, but you do want to use a high mileage oil. And there are a lot of companies out there, from Mobil 1 to Castrol to Royal Purple to there are just numerous oils out there. Valvoline comes to mind. So you definitely want to use a high mileage oil, because there's more phosphorus than other additive packaged, same viscosity, but it has the oil, and so that's what I'd recommend that you use.
Synthetic?
No, I wouldn't put synthetic. There's no need for it.
Okay.
Don't need. Save that money. You put that money elsewhere, because you got 200,000 miles. You're going to have plenty of places that you can put that extra dollars, and just change the oil every 5,000 miles using regular oil. I use a booster shot, but that's what's not available for you there. But there's a couple of, there's one product that you can buy. You can find it, but only at a professional automotive repair facility, and it's called MOA. Which is a real simple acronym for Motor Oil Additive, MOA, and it is a product that is supplied and manufactured by BG Products, and you can go to bgfindashop.com and find a shop near you. That's the best I can do for you, and I appreciate your calling. Take care in New York. Thanks, George.
Thank you.
Now let's go to Brennan. Brennan, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hi, Bobby. You helped me some time ago with my Dodge Dakota, and now I have a Honda Insight.
Okay.
2012, which has an engine issue.
Okay.
It's noted by Toyota. It's noted by Honda, and they don't acknowledge it unless you actually quote the code. But I was wondering, this thing burns oil like crazy. It's like 3 quarts a month. And I'm wondering, is there anything that I can put in this engine? They're telling me it only uses 020 oil. And I was wondering, is there any additive that I can actually put in this engine that can stop that oil consumption?
No, sir. If that engine has an internal engine problem that allows the rings, that allows the oil to get by the oil rings, or allows the oil to get down the valve guides into the piston top,
what it's doing.
Yeah, you're not gonna. You want to do one or the other, or some of both.
Yeah, it's foul. I've done 20,000 miles since I got it like 8 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a courier. So it's like I specifically bought this car, and then I found out all the problems I had afterwards.
Right.
But it's just really it's going through oil like crazy.
Well,
and it's also foul. It's also fouled. It's got two plugs per cylinder, and it's fouled them bad.
Wow. No, I think anything that you try to do to patch this engine is only that, a patch, and I don't know of anything that is worthwhile to even try. For my nickel.
Get a new engine?
Yeah. For my well, let's talk about that just briefly. Provided the rest of the automobile is in good condition, and provided that you can find, in this case, maybe a used engine. I doubt you're going to find a used. Well, you could. There could be a lot of Honda Insights, especially being a 12 model, that would have a good engine. They were totaled. I mean, that's what the recyclers do. They sell. I mean,
no, it's the entire 2012 line that has this problem. They only made like 1,800 of these.
Oh, really? Oh.
And then they went to the 2013 model. And the 2011, 2010 engines, they're all the same. But I was thinking, I mean, I've seen them on eBay and stuff like that for like $600.
Really?
Which ain't too bad.
No, it's not too bad.
The installation's going to kill me.
Well, well, not really. Okay, all right. Let's just say you're going to spend $2,000 to get the other side of this program, to keep the vehicle for 2 years, and that's 24 months. You spent $2,000. That's less than $100 a month that you've invested, and you amortize it. And in essence, Brennan, here's what you're doing. Because you know the condition of the rest of your car, the $2,000, and you just said it's beautiful, the $2,000 that you invested in, you're buying your own car back. And you know why that's good? Because when you buy your own car back, i.e. you invest $2,000 or $3,000 in your car, you know the rest of it's okay, so what's broken you've repaired. Whereas if you went out and spent another $3,000 on buying another used car, you're subject to another $2,000 that you don't know about. So in essence, you should feel some relief. Not that you're going to feel good about spending $2,500, but the bottom line is at least you're buying your own car back and you know what you have. That makes sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Glad that you called. Take care. Now we'll go to Texas and talk to Lawrence. Lawrence, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you for taking the call.
Pleasure.
I've got a problem. I have a 91 Honda Civic, and it's got about 200-some thousand miles on it.
Okay.
But what it would do, it would idle up real high, and then it would kind of go off and on, and then it just started back up for about 6 months. It just stopped, and then it started back, and when I start up in the morning, it'll just idle up real high.
Mm-hmm.
But if I go out there and hit the up under the hood and I guess accelerator, but anyway, it idled down. And I've been trying to figure out. I've been putting stuff in additives in the gas tank, but it's still idles up high.
Now that's it. So Lawrence, that's called pour. Like I said, pour and pray. You pour something into the gas tank and pray it fixes the engine. Okay. And my good friend Dennis Rawson taught me that years ago. Who was a brilliant man and sort of like a I don't know, a father to me, or an uncle, or just a professor. Professor Rawson is what he was. Anyway, I believe that what you're talking about is the idle air control unit, and there's no way you can see. So when you put something in the fuel tank, it only goes into the fuel, so it lubricates the fuel pump. That's good. It would clean the injectors. That's good. And it could possibly clean the tops of the pistons. That's good. And if it's port injection, it would clean the back of the intake valves. All that's good, but it had nothing to do with the idle of the engine. Maybe idle quality, but not idle speed. So for me, I would suggest that you have a shop. And can you write this down? You got a pencil?
Yes, sir.
Okay. IAC, idle air controller. IAC. You want to go in and you want to have a technician to test the idle AC. Now, if you think that you can, and you can check online for this, I don't normally say do that because I'm a professional and I'm in the business, but hey, it's your vehicle. It's a 91 model car, so it's older. You could remove the existing idle air controller. Do not take it apart, but do clean out the parts of it that you can see. So that's what I would recommend that you do. Take it apart, take it off, clean it, put it back on. I do that a lot of times, and I recommend that with EGR valves because that really affects idle. Now, that's not to say that's your problem. I'm just saying of suggesting things that you can do yourself. Hey, Lawrence,
Yes,
thank you so much for your call, and as always, love to hear from you guys in Texas. And folks, I want to thank you today for all of the confidence that you showed in me. There is a company that is, I want to tell you about. I don't have the time, but it's Paris Corporation, and they sent to me a WeeGo, W-E-E-G-O, WeeGo, and I'm holding it in my hand right now. In fact, I'll turn on this very annoying flashing light. It's annoying because I pointed at the camera. It is really a jump start battery unit, and it's no larger than, it's smaller than a flashlight. I'll tell you a little more about it next week. I'm going to test it this week. It's called WeeGo. Take a look at their website, W-E-E-G-O. And by the way, I got to go. Like us, you'll love us. Thanks for tuning in.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Stant is the expert when it comes to radiator caps, thermostats, and fuel caps, supplying manufacturers as far back as Henry Ford's Model A. For OE performance, you can trust that Stant fuel caps will deliver. A leaking fuel cap is more than just the pain of a check engine light. Evaporating fuel costs money. Stant fuel caps are built so well they can even seal with part of the cap broken away, helping to keep you safe. Stant has locking caps too. Drive to Stant.com or your local retailer today. That's Stant.com. Berryman's B12 Chem Tool features HEST, or high-energy solvent technology. Helps maximize one-tank cleanup of intake valves, fuel injectors, and combustion chambers. But don't take our word for it. Gary's Mercury Sable was just running awful and throwing trouble codes. A local technician said it might cost as much as $600. So first, Gary tried Berryman B12 Chem Tool Fuel Additive, and now it runs like new with no trouble codes. Learn more about Berryman products and their HEST technology at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here.